Alright, in this video I'm going to be doing a backwash of my sand filter for my pool. This is a chlorine pool that we just paid to have opened up for the first time. You can see the shanty that the previous owners made to house the pool equipment is in rough state, so I will be rebuilding that in the future. You can see that they've left me some backwash hose in this pile of leaves. You can see I've got the pump running right now. The on-off switch is right by the pump, and you can see that the pressure is very high at about 27.5 psi. So that's higher than it should be. So we'll see what we can do to drop it. So you can see on the multi-port valve, there's a backwash setting, and the backwash port is right here, and there's also a hose clamp on there from the previous owners, which I will use. When I rebuild this shed, I'm actually going to make a hole as opposed to ripping the board off and running the hose out like I do this time. So I didn't film putting the hose on, but really just slid it over the end and put the hose clamp in place. And you can see I've run it out through my yard, and I was hoping to catch it in that bucket so I can show you how dirty it is, but everything goes poorly. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. There's also a viewing glass on the back side of your multi-port valve, but just because it's on the right up against the shed, I can't really get a good visual on it. So I'm going to turn the pump off, and then I'm going to turn the multi-port valve clockwise until it lines up to the backwash position, and this will direct all the water to the waste port. So I'll turn the pump back on, and now what's happening is the water is being run backwards through the sand, so it's now coming from the bottom up and out the backwash. And as you can see, my backwash hose explodes, so not a great start here. Would recommend you use a new backwash hose if you have one of unknown origin. Anyway, that's fine where it is. I'm going to let this run for about a minute to a minute and a half until the water runs fairly clean out of the hose. Obviously, if that was closer to my house, I would have stopped it, but it's not a big deal. And as you can see, the water is slowly taking a path towards the road. I'm not sure what the lifespan on a backwash hose is, but clearly I am at the end of this one's life cycle. Anyway, the water's looking pretty clean coming out of the backwash hose now. And the water's also fairly clean in the glass backwash bottle. So I'll turn the pump off, and then I'm going to turn my multi-port valve to the rinse setting. So I'm going to keep turning it clockwise, and it'll be the next setting over. Now the rinse setting runs the water in the normal direction, that is pushing the water top to bottom, but instead of having it go back to the pool, the water is going to continue to be ejected out of the waste port. And this is to allow the sand to reset so you don't get a bunch of dust pushed out into your pool. So I'll turn the pump back on and let this run for 30 seconds to 1 minute. After that, I'll turn the pump back off, get back on the multi-port valve one more time and put it into filter mode, and then turn the pump back on. And as you can see in the pool, the water is now being returned through the jets back to the pool. One thing that I wasn't too happy about is the pressure is still pretty high at 25 psi, so it came down by 2.5 psi. My next step will be to change the pressure gauge out and make sure that that's not giving false readings. And if that doesn't work, I will go to changing the sand. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.